A couple of weeks ago, I had my last session with one of my students after spending more than 6 months together and over the course of 60 sessions. And coincidentally, during the end of our period together, she transitioned from an international project working with North Americans to a Brazilian project. And surprisingly, to her, she found it easier to focus in English. Because it was harder, she had to pay more attention. And because she had to pay more attention, she took a lot more from the meetings. So she knew a lot more about the project and she was able to participate a lot more. When things became a lot easier in Portuguese, her first language, she started getting distracted and zoning out. This is actually backed by science. And it took me right back to a fantastic YouTube video called The Science of Thinking by a university professor, a physics professor, I believe, and his channel is called Veritasium, talking about all sorts of really, really interesting stuff. And I'm going to show you here. But the thing is, when you learn something and really, really focus, challenge yourself and learn it in a different language. Don't study the language, but study something in your target language. So, like most of my students, you're Brazilian, wanting to improve your English. Learn about something else in English. That's what I do with my clients. We talk more about communication.
For most of us, thinking is at least somewhat unpleasant. We try to avoid it where possible. Take this problem, which has been given to thousands of college students.
You go into a toy store, and there's a toy bat and a toy ball. Together they cost $1.10. And the bat costs $1 more than the ball. How much does the ball cost?
10 cents.
We're all wrong, aren't we?
If you think about it for just a second, it's obvious that the ball can't cost 10 cents. Because if it did, then the bat would cost $1.10 and the two items together would cost $1.20. The correct answer is 5 cents. Now the point of these questions is not that they're difficult. Any of these people could have quickly checked their answer if they wanted to. The point is that they don't check. Because thinking is uncomfortable. It takes effort. I think these examples reveal blind spots in all of our thinking, due to the fundamental way that our brains work. Now, one way of modeling how the brain operates is as though there are two systems at work. Psychologists call them System 1 and System 2, but maybe it's useful to think of them as characters. So let's call System 1 Gun and System 2 Drew. You are Drew. He represents your conscious thought, the voice in your head.
I am who you think you are.
He's the one capable of following instructions. He can execute a series of steps. If you're asked to calculate 13 times 17 in your head, for example, he's the one who has to do it.
Can I just use my calculator?
No.
All right. 17 times...
Drew is lazy. It takes effort to get Drew to do anything, and he is slow. But he's the careful one, capable of catching and fixing mistakes.
221.
Now meet System 1, Gun. He is incredibly quick, which he needs to be since he's constantly processing copious amounts of information coming in through your senses. He picks out the relevant bits and discards the rest, which is most of it. And he works automatically, without you, Drew, being consciously aware of what he is doing. Understanding Gun and Drew also explains errors in the bat and ball question. It's Gun who first perceives the key pieces of information, that together the bat and ball cost $1.10, the bat costs $1 more than the ball, so the ball costs
10 cents.
10 cents.
Gun immediately had an answer that he blurted out automatically. Meanwhile, Drew, without being consciously aware that the answer came from Gun, endorsed the idea without checking it. After all, the answer sounded reasonable and Drew is lazy. So how do you get Drew to do more work? Well, researchers have found at least one way. When they gave out a clearly printed test, including the bat and ball question, to incoming college students, 85% got at least one wrong. But when they printed the test in a hard-to-read font with poor contrast, the error rate dropped to 35%. A harder-to-read test resulted in more correct answers. And the explanation for this is simple. Since Gun can't quickly jump to an answer, he hands off the task to Drew, who then invests the required mental effort to reason his way to the correct answer. When something is confusing, Drew works harder. And when Drew works harder, you're more likely to reach the right answer and remember the experience. Universities are introducing workshops, peer instruction, and formats where students are forced to answer more questions, do more work than just listen and take notes. And this will undoubtedly make Drew work harder, which is good because that's how learning happens. But a lot of students don't like it because it requires more effort. Just as it's hard to motivate someone to get off the couch and exercise, it's hard to get Drew to give his full effort. If you really want to learn and get better at anything, have any chance of becoming an expert, you have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Because thinking takes effort. It involves fighting through confusion, and for most of us, that's at least somewhat unpleasant.